what was it like, potentially like situation like you had with Macca, um, that flicked the switch? I know you're in the back of a paddy wagon in Melbourne after being arrested in your last bank robbery, and you broke down in tears in the back of the paddy wagon. So was that the moment where it really the switch flicked for you, and you sort of thought, I really need to get out of this quick,
Mm.
smart before it consumes my whole life?
Yeah, the breakdown happened more during the court case. When I first was arrested, it was a huge surprise. So I'm thinking, what evidence do they have? What can they prove on me? They can't prove anything. We got away with the bank robbery. They actually watched us rob the bank, and that old story scenario, getaway driver. We were able to get away really cleanly. But they knew who we were. They knew that we'd planned it. They'd watched us do it, the whole lot. But for me, it was the sum of all efforts. So when I went to trial, I ended up crying in the back of the truck, going back to the jail, and I hadn't even been found guilty yet. But I was like, "Fuck, is this what you really want? Is this the life you really want?" And I think that's where I started to really. And it was a sum of all efforts. I'd done a lot of education over that time in jail, so I didn't waste it. I was doing MYOB, business studies, all of it, anything that was going to help me be a better version of myself. And I got to a position where, there's another person, Rangi, big shout out to her. I think she's high up in the juvenile justice now, communities and justice here in New South Wales, I believe it's called. I think she's like the CEO of it. From what someone told me, or up in amongst that leadership group, and she teach me the value of don't talk shit and be true to yourself, and these different conversations. So those, I didn't have all that role modeling, so I'd grab that from her. I'd grab the training from Macca. I'd grab this from another person, that from another person. Good fathers, good husbands, good community leaders. What were they doing? How were they doing it? How would they speak? How would they conduct themselves? And I was stealing all their superpowers as such. It was the best bit of stealing I ever did, I suppose. In that sense, people might have talked about hood superstar. For me, the best things I ever stole was the power of what someone had in value, and the knowledge that they shared to me, and it came around all aspects. And whether you're sitting with Mark Bruce and we're talking about how to scale your business, what's your business about? You ever thought about it like this? Those sorts of things, they could be a 5-minute conversation, but if you're listening and learning, you plug that in. And I think it got to that point where I hit a threshold, or I think I hit that threshold in the back of that truck and went, fuck, is this going to be your life? Is this what do you want to just keep doing life like this, or do you want to be free? And why couldn't you do what everybody else does? You've got so much determination, perseverance, commitment, that discipline about that 12 years I spent with my father that's still present. What if you showed up to a different way of life? What would happen? And I was like, fuck, everything would happen. And what would it feel like? It would feel like it would be unbelievable. So I pictured all the moments I'd spent illegally with illegal money doing great things, but why couldn't you do that with legitimate money around something that's
Yeah.
greater? What are you great at? And then I went, become a nutritionist. So I love training. I'll be a training nutritionist. And went into that world. 216, brother commits suicide. 218, sister commits suicide. And I sort of I've been thinking about getting away because I was in there 5 to 9, consumption of time versus money. Was I being as effective as I could be towards other people, sharing that knowledge to help them step out of that heartache, pain, suffering, whatever they label themselves as. And then I went, instead of impacting one person in there, I can impact 300 people, less time, more money, no brainer. And I started to move away from into what we see today, that global 7-figure business heading towards 8 figures. And we'll hit that this year, and we'll do. And it's not about the money. It was never about the money. It was about the passion and value I brought to a space that helped people trust that. And they wouldn't have trusted the young kid back in the day, that's for sure. Um, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and what you build into yourself, the belief. And to build that belief, you got to, those elements, as I said, the sum of all your efforts lead to who you are today, whether it's the education, the knowledge, the application, the slowing it down, self-reflection, understanding yourself, which means not understanding yourself, understanding how you're built. Is it serving me? Because you can say, oh no, but I'm comfortable in this job and doing so forth, as I said before. Well, you're ever going to get your kids to Disneyland? No, I won't. Would that be of value to you? Yes, it would. What would you perceive as the first step towards, making that happen? And I say to people, what about if you could save $100 a week? By the end of the year, have 5,000. If that doesn't get you in the first year, maybe it's the second year. You got $10,400. I'm sure that will get you to Disneyland. So being able to do that in that sense and show people breakdown of life, because we don't sit down and pause for a moment. We're too busy, don't have enough time, don't make it a priority, and those three things lead to us just saying, I don't, I'll accept average, I'll accept this life, this is where I sit, and I'm content and at bliss with this. There's more to life than being in average, and that the back of that truck, all the summer things came together, and I hit that threshold. And I heard Ant Middleton speak about this, and we spoke about this at the airport, and I actually told him this. Someone asked him, do you feel bad about killing people at war? And he said, there comes a time where there's a threshold where someone's shooting bullets at your head, and it's you or them, and you either fight back or you run off, and there was nowhere to run. So you got two choices. And I think that's where I got to in the back of that truck. I got to a choice where I started to think about, you're going to take yourself out. And I didn't really think about taking myself out, but I was saying, die in jail, or you're going to make something of your life. And I decided to, make something of my life. And I accepted that I wasn't going to be the smartest. I wasn't going to be the prettiest. I wasn't going to be the most well known in the room anymore. And I was comfortable and cool with that. Most people won't do that. I want to be the person who's valued and cared for and loved for, and up the front and the highest on the, the stand in front of everybody else. We all sort of want that underlying, in a sense of feeling good about ourselves, not actually being the number one top dog, just feeling good about who we truly are aligned with ourselves. And that's where that misalignment came together with the sum of all things. I started to realign myself, and man, life's been just mind blowing. And we share that every single day on our social media. People say, Morgs, I wish I had your life. I'm saying, why don't you feel that you can't have that life? And it's our limiting perceptions, beliefs, values that put us into a set mindset. And until we shift that mindset, we'll always be set in our ways. And there's more to life than who you are now. I can guarantee that.